Hey folks, Dust here, and I thought I would do another one of these little update videos that I do every so often, just to kind of let you folks know what I've been up to lately, what's coming up next, stuff about my health, all that good stuff, right? The last one of these I did was back in May, and I think it must have been maybe just before Vince and I did DreamHack Open Tour and DreamHack Masters Dallas together, which of course we were on site on tours, and in Dallas we did remotely. Then after that, it was a pretty big break for me. Didn't really do anything for several months up until I did the Arctic Invitational here in September. And now I do have some things coming up. I have the DreamHack Masters Malmo remote stream that I'm doing with Vince. It'll actually be starting the day after I release this video. And then we're doing Rotterdam together a little bit later on in October. And I have one other thing I actually just found out about today, the day that I'm recording this, which is the day before Malmo starts. And it's pretty exciting. Like, it kind of was something I didn't really expect to work out, but it did. And so I'm actually going to be pretty active here, particularly in October, maybe a little bit of something in November, maybe a little bit of something in December. There's a lot of maybes still floating out there as well, but definitely have at least kind of 3 gigs locked in between Malmo, Rotterdam, and one other thing that I can't really talk about yet, but hopefully we'll get it out soon or something. So it's going to be pretty cool stuff. And yeah, so let's kind of just talk through a little bit of this real quick. I mean, obviously, Vince and I's primary goal is to work together as a commentary duo. I got to a point where Vince wanted to get really active again in casting, and he wanted to find a consistent partner to like really build a good product where there was like better chemistry, and we were able to highlight each other's strengths and cover each other's weaknesses and build, chemistry and all that good stuff, right? I mean, that was really the biggest thing. And I, was struggling to really line up consistent analyst desk work just because we've had a really big influx in kind of former professionals wanting to do desk work and doing really great with it. When we've seen Pip and Maniac really take off, particularly this year and even into last year. And Potter's getting involved now. Nothing's getting back involved. Sean Gayers is still out there for now, although there was some word that he might do some manager or coaching work, but we'll have to see how that goes. I know Davey and Simpus are interested. There seems to be kind of this never-ending cycle of players who want to do desk work, and that makes it hard for me to get desk work because I'm not a former professional player. The highest I ever played was like a semi-pro level in Counter-Strike Source. And while I'm very knowledgeable and can do a lot on the desk, and I think I bring a lot of insight and value to a desk, it's obvious that like former professionals have a little bit more credibility with the community. Typically, you're going to be bigger brands, maybe bigger personalities, be a bit more popular overall at the community. And with time, once they've put in enough reps and they've kind of gotten a feel for things, they obviously can bring a lot to the desk as well. They can, do better in some areas than I can. Maybe we're about equal in some areas. Maybe there are some areas I can do a little bit better, but all in all, they definitely can do great work, and you're really seeing that happen a lot. So it's been hard for me. Every now and then I'll still get a desk offer. I do have one coming up actually, but it is pretty rare. And so I kind of wanted to get back in commentary as well, because I thought that was my best bet at kind of still getting out there, still being actively involved in the community as a broadcaster. And so that just kind of synced up together. Obviously, Vince and I have worked together in the past. We like working together. We're good friends. We think that we do have a kind of a good harmony because he really is a great storyteller and a great hype play-by-play commentator, and I feel like I'm very able to bring a lot of tactical insight, strategy, recent results, recent player form, kind of bring in that supplemental information, but also be able to talk about the game as it's happening, add that, tactical depth, that color commentary, right? And so we think that those merge together pretty well. I think there's some areas that we can still work on from what we reviewed from tours in Dallas, which is just kind of loosening up, have a little bit more fun, bring a little bit more personality to the broadcast. Obviously, we need to work on our back and forth a little bit. Sometimes we can get a bit of robotic where, like, I'm always talking during freeze time. He's always talking during certain portions of the round. I'm always talking during certain portions of the round. So I think there could be a little bit of a loosening up where we flow together better back and forth. Maybe we pass together or pass back and forth a little bit more, just have like shorter spurts so we're conversating a bit more, and just having a little bit more fun with it. I think sometimes we get a little bit too uptight. Obviously you always want to take the broadcast very seriously, but I think sometimes we could have a little bit more fun and kind of get back to our roots and get back to why we wanted to do this in the first place, just because we enjoyed it. I think somewhere along the way, me personally, just me being kind of real personal with you guys, I felt like to a certain extent I had like this chip on my shoulder, and I felt like I was just like always trying to prove myself myself and prove I knew what I was talking about and prove that I was not necessarily an expert, because, I'm obviously not an expert, but I feel like I'm a pretty good analyst and I can bring a little bit to the table, insight-wise. I felt like I really needed to prove that to people since I wasn't that former professional player. I didn't have that same kind of credibility. And I think somewhere along the way, I almost, was focused so much on that I almost lost track of enjoying the moment and really just, sitting back and appreciating, the opportunity to be able to do something like this. Maybe not as a full-time career, because I haven't hit that consistency as far as, hiring goes, but it's still, a nice form of income. It's still a passion of mine. And I really want to get back to that. And so that's something we're going to be working on. Obviously, we're doing Malmo and Rotterdam together. We're going to, really kind of keep that in mind. Obviously, casting together and trying to be better together, as well as just better individuals. It's always going to be kind of a little bit of trial and error, making adjustments, taking on feedback, self-critiquing, all those different things. But the point is that we really feel like if given enough opportunities, once we get enough reps in, we can build a really great product. People already seem to like what we've done with Dallas and Tor. I think people will hopefully enjoy what we're able to do on the MLB stream and what we're able to do at Rotterdam. And hopefully we'll have some more stuff together in the future as well. Again, I'll still do some dev stuff here and there when it makes sense to, as long as it's conflict with what we're trying to do. And, if it's stuff that Vince can't attend or what have you, like kind of what happened with Arctic Invitational. But we definitely want to work together as much as we can. It's primarily going to be European events, maybe some stuff in North America as well. And we'll just see what happens with that. And obviously we also have to be, is open to whatever comes our way. I don't want to hold each other back. That's what happened with the Starliner Miners, for instance. I'm not going to stop Vince from taking that gig, even though I wasn't invited. And so there's a little bit of that as well. Obviously, we want to work together as much as we can, but it's not always possible. Can't really force people to hire you together. And you obviously want to get out there and work on yourself and get opportunities financially and further your career. And sometimes that does pull you apart a little bit, but hopefully we can do something pretty consistent here going forward. I think that if we get enough reps and if we get enough opportunities, I think that it could be really cool stuff, and we'll just have to see how that goes. Other than that, obviously the big breaks are always a bit rough. It has been several months outside of the Arctic Invitational that I've been able to get work. And that always, hurts financially, but also kind of hurts your morale. Always kind of makes you wonder, am I going to be able to get back out there? Are there going to be opportunities there? I am in the works of doing something kind of behind the scenes to kind of create a bit more of a safety net, I guess you could say, financially and such. As far as getting another job goes. So I'm kind of working on that. Basically, it's me getting my EMT license, which I'm pretty much about to complete. I've always had interest in the healthcare field. I almost worked in the healthcare field at various different levels. And so kind of being able to pick something that's really flexible as far as scheduling goes, to still really leave open a lot of room to do esports stuff, but to, cover me if I do have another one of these big break periods. Obviously, I like to fill these big break periods with content to kind of stay active and kind of keep my brain working with CS. But obviously, as you can see with the new background, I moved, so that took up a lot of time. There was also the No Majors Club going on in the major itself and working at the No Majors Club, volunteering, however you want to call it. And some stuff happened with the family as well. That was kind of tough. We had a kind of close loss in the family, which took up some time as well. But I'm trying to get back to doing content. I've done a couple of videos here recently since I've moved. And I'll do more videos about roster moves and stuff like that as I have time. October is actually really busy for me, though, funny enough, but I'll still try to do some stuff here and there. And yeah, so obviously the goal is just to keep grinding it out. As many opportunities that come my way, I'm going to take as many of them as I can and keep getting better at what I do, whether that be casting, whether that be analysis, both, whatever the case may be, putting some content out there where I can, and just keep pursuing this passion, keep pursuing the stream, and just kind of see what comes of it. And that's really as much as I can say right now on the casting front. I mean, just to recap, just doing as much as I can, trying to work with Vince as much as possible, trying to build that product up, taking other opportunities here and there where it makes sense to, and yeah, just rolling with the punches, and that's it. Hopefully the end of this year is going to end strong. It seems like it's going to be. It seems like I'm going to be pretty active here, which is great. Then kind of just see what happens as we go into 2020 and beyond, right? That's all you can really do. As far as health stuff goes, it's been going great actually for me on the weight loss grind. I'm actually doing pretty well. My peak weight was about 235 a couple of years ago. I'm down to about the 205 range. I really want to push past below 200, and the goal was to do it before Rotterdam, which that gives me, I guess, theoretically, 2 full weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks to try to get that off. It's going to be difficult now because I have some travel coming up last minute that I wasn't expecting, and some other stuff going on. But I'm going to still try my damnedest to get below the 200 mark. Even if I don't, I still feel like I'm building muscle because I'm doing a lot of weightlifting. I prefer that to cardio. I still do some cardio at the end of my weightlifting regimen to get that time in, to get that extra calorie burn, and just, to kind of keep that stamina. And I've definitely been doing a lot better with like portion controls. I have reintroduced some carbs back into my diet after kind of doing mostly a ketogenic diet for a while. Mostly because I have really bad GI tract issues. I have IBS, I have GERD, I have all kinds of shit going on in that regard. So it's very hard for me to like really get my diet right to where I don't fuck myself over as far as like dealing with the symptoms of those things. And for some reason, when I took out carbs, it really messed with me. So I've introduced some carbs back, like sweet potato and brown rice and quinoa, and like, complex carbs that are a little bit better for you than just like French fries and pasta and white bread and things of that nature. Also, just cutting back on, other things as well. I don't really get any sugar now. I cut back on caffeine a lot. I even cut back on like sugar-free soda and stuff like that I was drinking, like, Diet Coke or Coke Zero. I've even cut back on that pretty much. It's pretty much I just drank coffee in the morning, water throughout the day, and maybe here and there, I might have one like sugar-free soft drink, but it's pretty rare. So yeah, I think I'm really kind of getting that down. I'm starting to do a little bit of meal prepping when I'm home to really make sure I'm counting calories. I even have like a food scale now. So I've really tried to hone in on that, because I think I've had the workout pretty well set up for quite some time, but dieting was still something I really struggled with, and I'm getting better at that. And I think I'm making some progress, and hopefully I'll make more. Once I get below 200, which is kind of the first big goal that I have, then from there I'll just have to see, I think maybe like 175 to 185 would be a decent next goal, and then from there just kind of see how I feel, how I look, what I think about it, and then yeah, that's going to be it for that. And yeah, I mean, that pretty much wraps it up as far as like health and work and stuff goes. Obviously the last thing is that the No Majors Club was not really work, so that's kind of separating it by itself. It was a fuck ton of fun just hanging out for 3 weeks. I was there every day. It was every day for the first No Majors Club as well, or not the first, I guess the I Am Katowice one. So yeah, like I've been a consistent part of that. It's been a lot of fun. I've had some questions about whether or not like all the memes bother me or not. And to answer your question, no, not really. I think it's all in good fun. The only time it ever bothers me is if it like goes a little bit too far, and I'm not gonna like actually mention it here, but when people are comparing me to like criminals or making things about me committing criminal acts, that's a little bit rough, like that's that kind of crosses the line a little bit for me. But pretty much everything else is fair game. And I kind of, do that kind of stuff on purpose. Someone has to be the butt of the joke. Someone has to kind of add fuel for someone to pick up and then, create fire with. It's kind of part of the entertainment is the give and take. And I did give a little bit in that, I did make a couple of jokes towards people here and there, like the whole thing I did with Frankie on Twitter. But a lot of it was me taking it because someone has to, right? And that's just kind of how it flows nicely when you kind of have that mixture. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Memes didn't overdo it to me. There was only a couple of exceptions, maybe a couple of sections for Vince as well, where he was getting way too many pictures of literal shit sent to him on Twitter. It did get a little bit unreal there. That's a lot of fun. We do have that meme review episode even coming up probably a few days after I put this video out. I think it's actually going to be one of the days of Malmo after Malmo is over for the day. I think we're going to do it because I know a lot of people were asking about that, and I think that, it's safe for me to kind of say that I think we're aiming for Thursday, which would be October the 3rd, but we'll have to see how that plays out. This may or may not be relevant depending on when you're watching the video, obviously. And yeah, that's really about it. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted as far as work goes, the future goes with that, health stuff, all that good stuff. Yeah, so that's all I have really for this update video. I'll probably do another one of these updates maybe at the very end of the year when I talk about kind of what happened maybe with Malmo and Rotterdam and this other stuff I got coming up and kind of what I'm thinking about in 2020, and increasingly also looking at behind the scenes stuff in the esports industry as well to kind of stay involved in the industry, even if I can't, pull off being a broadcaster full time, which is still a goal, but we'll just have to see how it all plays out. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. I don't want to ramble too much. Hope you folks enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe for more content. Catch you next time.